First of all, thank you for tuning into the Such Is Love podcast. This is a podcast that I've sort of created to hopefully create a community and a small little village, in a sense, of people to come and hear people telling real stories, real people telling real stories, no inhibitions, raw truth, things that you wouldn't necessarily speak about so openly. This is a place for you to come and sort of, and you know what it is, I feel like there's a lot of scenarios that people go through where there's the devil's in detail. People tell you that they go through certain things, but they don't. It's very easy to miss out certain pockets of that experience, that one experience. So this is the place that sort of unpacks all of that. And hopefully for the youth, this is a place for them to come to sort of see, like, this person was in a similar situation as you, and this is how far they've came. Always focus on the bigger picture and don't give up. Keep going. There is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. I know it's a cliche, but it's true. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Two things I want to discuss before I start speaking about the guest that I've got on. First thing is Hamza's Helping Hand charity, which is linked to this podcast, and I will put the GoFundMe link in the description. We lost our friend, Hamza, and he was easily said one of the most clean-hearted people that I've ever met, if not the most clean-hearted person I've ever met. So in honor of his name, we've set up a charity which, when people donate to, we will help out. It will literally be a helping hand. We will literally give that money to causes and organizations that need a helping hand. And also Treasure Health. If you're interested and want a bit more knowledge on how to better your health naturally, as opposed to relying on pharmaceuticals, and you want to dive into the world of sea moss and juice fasting and all that sort of stuff, and if you want to go to somebody who knows their thing and it's their passion and they're not just doing it for the sake of the money or whatever else, Treasure Health is a place. But yeah, so now moving on to my guest. This is somebody that I've known for quite some time. I've been watching their journey from afar, and I've just kept seeing them elevate, stay consistent, elevate. And I know what I've saw, but I wanted to also dive into what really goes on behind the scenes with my guest, because they're such a positive role model for females, and consistently trying to better themselves, and consistently trying to improve, and consistently trying to grow their platform to reach more people, to help more people. I'm actually very happy to see these things coming into fruition for her and actually starting to work out, and her starting to get the recognition that she truly deserves. So yeah, let's get into it. Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the intro after.
Okay.
Because that'll be my little surprise to the guests, to be fair. How I'll introduce them after how the conversation's gone.
Okay.
So first of all, can you let everyone know what your name is, for those who don't know?
My name's Mica, known on Instagram or brand name Move with Mica.
Okay, and how long have you been... actually, let's take it to the beginning. How did you birth the idea of Move with Mica?
Okay, so if we go back to 2020, so just before lockdown.
Okay, not too long ago, yeah.
Yeah, so just before
This mic needs to come down a little bit.
What is it blocking?
It's a bit too high.
That's as low as it goes. Oh, maybe not.
Can we get a baby cushion or something?
What, to go higher?
I am small.
How tall are you?
5'4".
Swear?
Yeah, I
That's
get
okay.
it.
No, that's okay.
That's better.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I am 5'4".
Oh, cool. We'll carry on, because otherwise it will just feel unnatural. Anyway, so you were saying 2020?
Yeah, so literally just before we went into lockdown in the March 2020,
Yeah.
my granddad had passed away, and I remember
I'm sorry to hear that, by the way.
one of the last conversations that we kind of had was just living out like your dreams and your purpose.
Yeah.
And for a very long time, I'd been into fitness. At that point, I think I'd been into the gym and fitness for about 8 years.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to do something with it. I always wanted it to be, I always envisioned or imagined kind of like doing different types of events with women or running my own fitness class. And I basically just went home one day and I started like jotting down ideas, names,
brainstorming kind of thing.
Literally got the pen and paper out. I went back to basics and I just literally started like brainstorming, and it kind of then came to me after literally just playing around with like different letters.
This is all still during lockdown.
This is all just literally pre-lockdown, and then I got my friend to create me a logo. And then literally within like a week I found like a location in Moseley where I ran like my first fitness class. There was 20 women. Like the demand, I posted it and the demand was really high for it, and then I just ran with it for a couple of weeks. Then we went into lockdown.
What was that initial class about?
It was basically just a women's only fitness class. I wanted, having been someone that's been in various gyms across Birmingham, the general consensus was that women didn't feel comfortable training around men or in gyms, or may have felt like it's not a safe space for them. So I wanted to create that safe space for them. And then that's why it was a women's only female fitness class.
Female fitness class. And off the back of that, so would you say, how many spaces did you have for that when you first started?
So the capacity was 20 and
20.
It used to sell out every week.
I swear. And then fast forwarding now to 2024, where you're doing the hike, how many people are turning up to that now?
The first hike that I did, I had 95. I had 95 women. The last fitness type class that I did, I think I had over 100 people.
I swear.
Yeah. So the numbers are numbering now.
No, it's good. Do you ever you see amongst this, because I've spoken to a few people that do their thing, and one thing that's common is people always forget to sort of look back at where they began and sort of G-check themselves to remember that actually now you're doing extremely well, as much as, because I think we always fall victim to chasing that top goal that we forget how far we've actually came from.
Definitely.
Do you get what I'm saying? So do you still find yourself looking back and being appreciative of your journey so far and acknowledging how far you've actually came?
I do it all the time. Like every morning, I say a gratitude
Practice
prayer
gratitude
every single day, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't be at this point in my journey, I don't feel or believe, without gratitude. And I think one thing that I can vouch for and say for myself, like I never forget where I came from. I think I posted on Instagram the other day, I went,
were you deadlifting?
The one before that, where I was talking about like my upbringing after the hikes. Like I grew up on a council estate. I went to a school that was classed as being in a deprived area.
Did you grow up in Druids Heath?
Yeah, I grew up in Druids Heath.
Oh, okay.
Like I've been on a big journey, so I feel like I never ever forget where I've come from. Also I've had corporate jobs myself, like
so you know what it's like to
I've done both, so I've been a corporate girl. I know about the 9-to-5 life, and I know about working multiple jobs. Like I've never not worked since I was 15. Do
you think that actually let me rewind a sec, because I wanted to ask you something about the gratitude thing, because one thing that I've been seeing, make a long story short, at the moment I'm on a bit of a sabbatical, so I'm off work due to like basically heavy depression. And that's how this podcast was birthed, to be fair, amongst that. So I'm grateful for it in a sense. But one thing I've been seeing is the whole practice gratitude thing. Do you feel like, and this is me generally asking for my own advice, do you feel like that helps you set the tone for the day? And are there days where, even though you've done that, it doesn't necessarily work?
So I would say, like with gratitude, even if you're like in the trenches, you could be going through like the worst time of your life. And like, as you said, if you are going through something that's very heavy mentally, and it feels draining and you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, even if there's one thing like every single day that you can be grateful for example, even down to the little things. If I see an ambulance go past me when I'm driving, I literally say thank you out loud.
Yeah.
It's not me and it's not my loved ones
Yeah,
that
yeah,
are in the
yeah.
ambulance.
Yeah.
Like, you can look for gratitude in absolutely everything.
No, I get you.
Even the fact that, you know, you're waking up in, you know, in your own bed, in
Yeah,
your home,
yeah, yeah.
in your warm home, like that you've got food in the fridge.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
Like, there's always something to be grateful for.
Would you say you're religious?
I would say that I believe in a higher power,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I genuinely believe that I'm divinely guided and protected always.
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
know
yeah.
that my dad walks with me every single day. So for me, it's not about being attached to anything. It's just I know that I'm blessed regardless.
Yeah, no, I get you. Cause the reason why I asked that is because the past few weeks I've been sort of, see, once I get high, I get into this sort of hole of
Like
thoughts.
a realm.
Yeah, yeah, basically a proper realm of thoughts. And I've never practiced gratitude in the way that you have. However, when I pray and speak to God and thank Him for, you know, like my parents being alive, these kind of things, I found that actually, in a sense, I have been doing it already anyway. It's just in a different way. And I didn't know whether there was anything different between the two, but from what everyone said to me, it more or less seems the same pattern. Yeah. But I wanted to go back to when I first met you, which was, actually, no, we'll take it back even further than that. So what was Drude's Heath like growing up around the DH lot?
You know what? Like, I genuinely believe I had a great, like, upbringing in the sense that growing up on a council estate, I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
So everybody, like, I never went without. Obviously, you know, sometimes at school there was trips that my parents financially couldn't afford.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I couldn't afford to go on them trips.
Yeah.
But I never feel like it never like stung me in that sense, because it was like everyone else was also in the same boat.
Yeah.
So for me, like,
it's not as if you're in a private school trying to fit in whilst you're from.
Yeah. Like, I genuinely didn't know about like deprivation and the difference between, like, I didn't really know much about poverty, I'll be absolutely honest, until I probably went to university, where the differences were so profound. Like, it's like, it was just like it was screaming at me it's very clear that there's people that come from wealth and a different type of wealth that I'd never experienced in my life. You know, I remember
there were so many different worlds.
I remember being at uni and, you know, I was working at Matalan, like, part-time. I was trying to study, and, you know, that was just covering like my little expenses that I had, like, you know, getting my food shopping and things like that. Whereas
to keep you afloat, basically.
And I had people that I lived with that their parents used to give them their credit cards, and they was living their best life. So
what uni did you go?
Nottingham Trent.
Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like for me, growing up, in Drude's Heath, growing up on a council estate, like, it's character building at the end of the day. Like, it taught me about life. It taught me about remaining humble. It taught me about community. Like, a lot of the foundations of my upbringing on a council estate are the things and the principles that I apply in my business.
Yeah. Nah, I get you.
So I feel like I wouldn't change it for the world, because I can say that I've experienced real life. Like, I know how to treat people. And with respect as well.
And you know not to sort of judge people because
of their
because of their background, because you never
you just never know.
It's true. It's true, because I grew up not too far from me, to be fair. You know Overbury.
Yeah.
That's where I grew up, which is Northfield's biggest council estate, if you ask me. And in reflection now, I look back at some of the scenarios I was around and some of the people that I was around. And when you're just young and ignorant,
normal.
When you're just young, it's normal, and you can take the piss out of it, and you just judge people. But now in hindsight, when you look back at it, I think, okay, now that's actually mad. And for me to be in a position that I'm in now, as much as I'm not completely where I want to be, I'm still nowhere near where I came from. And that's one thing I'm forever grateful for. However, that's, how do I put it? I'm glad that I'd experienced that to be grateful for the simple, like, do you know what I mean? Like, just the small, simple things. Like, I've got 2 bathrooms. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I used to grow up in a flat where it's one toilet and then a bathroom separate with a wall in between. You get small things like that. Yeah. And I think for you, growing up in DH, did you ever suffer from racism growing around there? Because my experience of Drew Teeth was...
It's interesting you say that, you know, and it's a topic that I haven't probably ever really touched on much, but I didn't really experience a lot of racism growing up. It wasn't really, again, until uni. I got to probably more secondary school and not even really at uni. No, I wouldn't say so, because Nottingham was very like diverse, very diverse.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, I didn't, in terms of like, growing up, I didn't really directly experience it, I would say. Definitely indirectly.
100%.
Definitely feeling like the elephant in the room sometimes. But never really outwardly to my face. Whereas I know my siblings' experience, and they're younger than me, is very different.
Are you the oldest?
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 4.
Okay. And then the second one underneath you is how old?
22.
22.
Yeah.
Okay.
My siblings experience it outright at school, whereas I haven't really ever had it directly.
Did they follow the same route as you in terms of school-wise? Obviously not uni, but did they go...
They went to different schools.
Oh, they went to different schools?
Yeah, which were, interestingly, in the more predominantly white areas.
Okay. So, still South Birmingham, but like... Yeah. I get you. Yeah, because even for me, I went to Northfield Manor. I don't know if you know where that is.
Yeah. And
during that time, what year was I there? I can't remember. But during that time, it was definitely a thing where, put it this way, I was, how old are you now?
29.
29.
I have to think then.
We're at that age. We're actually at that age.
Yeah, it's giving brain fog.
Yeah, no, it's anyway, I remember being in Northwood Manor, and I've still got a school photo now where I was one of 2 black kids in my class.
Yeah.
And there was stuff that went on at the time that I didn't, even in secondary, there was stuff that had went on that I didn't acknowledge were racism until... Upon reflection.
Yeah.
So, like, even for you, you still don't, there's not...
There definitely is.
It's just still the passive, but not never anything direct.
I would definitely say I've experienced more as an adult directly than growing up. Yeah. It was more microaggressions and indirect. Whereas as an adult, I would definitely say I've had more outwardly to my face. Where people are that ignorant. And it's direct and blatant racism. Someone would bypass it as, no, that's not what I mean.
Yeah. I get what you mean. I get what you mean. And the thing is,
crazy.
The thing is, that's what's so bad about it, that sometimes it could be innocent, but because of, I guess you could say, almost the experiences that we've had, the small part of trauma that we've had, we get our backs up and then just assume it's that straight away 100%. Because I guess it's sort of instinctive within us now in a way.
And also, I just think, in my opinion, it always comes down to me, how can you be that ignorant and lack that much awareness?
Knowledge,
awareness and knowledge.
Yeah. No, I get it. Moving forward to, because like I said, I met you in Cadbury.
Yeah.
I say briefly met you in Cadbury, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like you kept yourself to yourself during Cadbury. I never saw you with like a massive group of people or
so when
socialising like that.
It's fun fact, when I left secondary school, I went to college on my own. So I didn't know anybody at college.
Flipping out.
So
that's the vibe I got. You seem so antisocial. But carry on.
Every single one of my friends was going like Bourneville or going to like different colleges, and I said to myself, like, I want something different. So ever since college, that's been the trajectory and tone of my life. Like I've done things by as a lone wolf independently. I remember the first day of college, it was literally like in them American films. I went to the toilet and I sat in the toilet on my own, and I was like, right, like, I'm right on my own. Like I've got no friends. Like I felt like it was day one at school. Like I've got no friends. Like it was literally like on them American movies.
For you to make that decision at that age.
Yeah.
I think you're the only person I know that's ever actually done that, to be honest. With uni, it's different. Bare people done that with uni, innit?
Yeah,
but
of course.
You done that from college.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah, I'm out. Like, I need something new. I need something fresh. Yeah. And I did have a group of friends at college that I'm still friends with now.
Okay, good.
And yeah, that was my clique. They were my people. And it was refreshing. And also college again was very diverse. So it opened me up. Yeah, it opened me up to different ways, you know, how people are and different cultures, backgrounds, upbringings. Very humbling experience.
Yeah. And to be fair, you just touched on something that I wanted to ask you, which is one of my questions that I wrote down. Before we move forward, when would you say you noticed yourself that you showed your first sign of independence? Was it before college or... Because I feel like people like us who strive to sort of work for ourselves and don't want to work for somebody else, we show those kind of key signs from early, because one thing for me, my dad would tell you, I am a rebel. Like, I love challenging authority. I cannot stand authority. If it doesn't make sense, I'm challenging it. And I don't really like being told what to do. It can be as simple as, I was going to do it anyway, but now that you told me, I'm not doing
Forget
it.
About it.
I'm not doing
Forget about it.
So where would you say you sort of saw that within yourself? Or, like, even if you reflect on it now and sort of think back.
I think for me, the first signs of like independence that I showed was, it might sound really simple, but
now it can be as simple as ever.
For as long as I can remember, down to like with homework, my parents couldn't support me with my homework.
Okay.
My mum's dyslexic, and my stepdad used to work a lot. So there was no one at home to support me, push me, aid me with homework.
Okay.
So literally, probably from primary school, like I was very advanced with my reading. And that's because I would go over and over and over and read books, spellings. I would always like get 10 out of 10, 20 out of 20 on spellings. And that's just like from repeating back to myself and having to teach myself. That's so mad. I think for me, even like the simple things of depending on myself to get my homework done, because I know at home I can't necessarily ask for the support that I might have needed.
I can't believe you said this is simple. No, that's not simple. This is the kind of stuff, this is the whole point of the podcast, because it's those small details that pivot and show like how you've got to where you are, because so many people, so many people wouldn't have, for instance for me, where I feel like I see more drive in you than I do in me, and I am trying to get to where you're at, but those small things that have happened is what's made you slightly more advanced.
100%.
Because for me it was like my parents are there, however, because we came from Zimbabwe, it was a thing of graft, send money home, graft, send money home, send him to school, follow the government rules and stuff like that. But they're not like, I know bare African kids that went to school and they were scared to get bad grades, but I wasn't, because that pressure wasn't there for me. So that's good that you sort of had to figure that out so soon, and you've carried that on into your older life as well. That's mad.
It's almost like hyper independence, and it can be a blessing and a curse, because I think that also feeds into the fact that it's very rare I will ask anyone for help.
Serious.
So again, like as much as it's very good when it comes to business principles and me being able to show up regardless and getting things done, and not relying on anyone, it can also be a curse, because I don't ask for help. So you're not someone who tends to get second opinion on anything? Very rarely. Like I genuinely trust and believe my intuition and my gut. If they always say that your gut is like your second brain, so I feel like I don't. If any business decision, I don't remember the last time I really consulted anybody in the 4 years that I've been building. It's like I'll get advice from my close people.
But you'll still do what you...
Initially, I'll always run with what I feel is the best decision.
way. Do you not... Sorry, because I'm hearing you say that and comparing it to what you do, and I'm noticing that pattern within... That is like the small ingredients that have been put into you to make you the leader that you are.
Yeah.
Do you see where I'm coming?
Yeah.
Do you see where I'm getting that from?
Yeah.
Like that is... Yeah, that's very interesting. And again, when you're saying the whole being young and having to sort of do that yourself, again, leader stuff, you're not depending on your parents, even when you're at an age where that's what part of your job is, depending on your parents.
Your caregivers.
Yeah. Sorry, now I'm just This is why I do this, you know, because I proper tune into people's stories and their differences and just the small details that they went through that makes them who they are. And this is why I thought you'd be a great example for this podcast, to be honest with you. I want to take it back to meal prep days when you were charging me. You were part of my outgoings of £100 a week, I think it was. Was it about £100 a week? Yeah, it was about £100 a week.
Yeah.
How did you... I was so lazy, you know, I swear to God. But how did you...
I find it even mad that you remember that I had the meal prep business.
When I say I don't say it for decoration. When I say that I've been watching your journey from afar, like I genuinely, that's what I want to say to you, and I turn around to you and I see you doing certain things and I say I'm proud of you, is because I've literally seen not every single milestone that you've hit, but certain key points. So what made you? Because you were doing one thing I remember you doing about the meal prep thing was like the macros and. So I was breaking down like the macros, so your proteins, your fats, your carbs, the calories. Yeah. That's okay. So what birthed you into doing that? Because how old were you then? You was about, we're talking 2016, 2017, around there.
Yeah, so would have been
about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, so would have been like 23.
23.
23, 24.
And so how did you get into that? Yeah, how did that come about?
I genuinely love cooking.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely love cooking. And it was a thing where I used to get people ask me all the time, like, you know, what are you cooking? Like, what are you eating, basically? And I just thought, like, I remember me and my friend at the time sat down and he like helped me brainstorm it. He helped me come up with the logo and stuff like that. And he was saying, like, Mish, you could actually have like a little business out of this. And then it was called Prep Talk.
That's what it was. It was
called Prep Talk.
It was.
And I basically, I had like a little client base. I'd obviously cook all the meals and then I'd deliver them to people. But it just got so time consuming. And then I stopped enjoying cooking. Because it felt like a chore. I was always in the kitchen. I was always cooking. And I was just like, this ain't it.
Did you have a biggish client base within that?
There was enough that I was comfortable with.
Yeah, because I think you could have lived off me alone, to be honest.
Yeah, because people would order so many meals in bulk. I was just always cooking. And it just trying to, at the time I was a teacher, so trying to balance teaching. I also used to work at a pub, trying to balance that, and then also cooking.
So you had 3 on the go?
Yeah. I think literally up until last year, I've always had more than one job.
Yeah. And to be honest, I don't blame you, because one thing I learned, probably when I was 21, having one income is not realistic at all. Depending on how big your aspirations are and what your definition of content is, for me and clearly you, one income is not enough.
Yeah, 100%. It was never enough, because I'm very creative. I always have new ideas. I always have, like, if something isn't fulfilling for me, I lose interest very quickly.
Yeah, no, you sound like me.
So everything up until the point of having Move with Misha or building it, nothing ever felt fulfilling. Nothing ever felt like I can do this forever. Nothing ever. It always felt like work. It felt like a chore. It felt like a task. whereas what I do now doesn't.
You enjoy it thoroughly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it comes, you know, with highs and lows like anything.
No,
I'm not
100%.
gonna,
Yeah,
not gonna
100%.
sit
Not
here
gonna
and
glamorize
say,
it. Yeah, of course.
I'm not gonna glamorize, you know, everything that took me up until this point to build it.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, I get to wake up and do something that I love, and I know that I have a big impact on the people that I work with. So I think for me, like, that's alignment, like that's perfect, because I'm getting to do something that I love. I'll meet so many women,
and it's rewarding in its own sense as well.
From alignment of work, and it's opened up so many doors and opportunities for me, and I know that I'm changing people's life one day at a time. So I think, even if, I always say to people that ask me as well, like, if there was no money involved, what you do, if you couldn't monetize from it, would you still love it as much? Would you still be doing this one thing that you absolutely love to do? And I can say with my chest that
you would.
Even if there was no money in this, I'd still love doing it, because it fills me like differently.
Yeah, I get you.
So
I get you.
Yeah, I feel like
it's wholesome every time you sort of do. And that, funny enough, you saying that allows me to segue into one of my questions that I had as well, which is, off the top of your head, what's, like, I don't want to say the greatest feedback, or what one of the most impactful feedbacks that you've received off one of your clients that have always stuck with you, or just sort of stuck with you? If there is one, if there isn't, then that's cool. And don't think anything's too simple. Don't think anything's too simple.
Okay, so one, I had a lady come to me, who really struggled with social anxiety.
Okay.
Really struggled with body confidence and body image, and she used to really struggle to articulate herself, and she started coming to me for personal training and to my workshops. And I never forget, she sent me a message after working with me for a period of over probably about a year and a half, and she literally said to me that I've changed her life.
Serious.
So I feel like for me, when I receive those kind of messages, every 4:30 in the morning alarm, every 14-hour day, everything,
what you're doing.
Like it just humbles me to just know that I'm doing the right thing. Like, I'm exactly where I need to be and where I'm meant to be, because these are the type of people that I get to work with, where they're telling me that their life is better because I'm in it,
because you're in it,
because of the impact that I've had on them. So I think that one will forever stick with me, especially when she was that socially anxious, she couldn't be in a group setting, whereas now she'll go to events on her own. Like, to me,
serious?
that's sick.
The fact that you've been able to played that part of her journey, and as simple as it may seem, to her, that's everything. Yeah,
literally. Whereas me, I've never had an issue like going into groups. I've never I can't relate. Whereas I understand for some people the idea of going even into a room where there's strangers, like it's a lot for them. So I think for me, hearing that, like, it was everything. And somebody else that I worked with that similar to me, she had an eating disorder and went for a period of time where she was really struggling with eating, and her weight and her body image and the way that she viewed her body. And she managed to, from working with me, overcome her eating disorder. So I think, again, like, it sounds so simple when you say it, but there's a lot of complexities with humans that I think a lot of people aren't curious about. I'm a very curious person. Same. So I always like to know people's story.
Same.
And I like to ask why. Or how did you get to that point? So I think me working with the women that I do and going on this journey with them and unpacking a lot, it's not just called personal training for a reason. It is personal. So I feel like going on the journey that I do with these women, it does become almost like, an extended family. It does become like that.
Would you say that truly and honestly, do you feel like you found your purpose?
Yeah,
wholeheartedly feel like you found your
I
purpose?
feel like my business has evolved and I've grown and I've changed as a person, but the core values of my brand will always remain. Like I'm very much, you know, I'm very heavy on sisterhood. I'm very heavy on female empowerment. I believe that fitness should be accessible to everybody, and I feel like it's more, you know, than just the aesthetics. If your mental isn't right, your body won't be right.
No, it's true. Because I had this conversation with a friend the other day where it's like during lockdown where they're saying to go for a walk or whatever, whoever's saying to go for a walk, and it's like verbally it doesn't sound like much, but once you sort of add that into your routine and actually give it a go and push yourself, like it can start off as a walk, then a jog, then is everything all right?
Yeah, it goes off after 45 minutes, so
okay, okay, cool,
so we just have to chat in.
okay, cool. Nice one now. So basically what I was saying was that there's a lot more to it than what's said, which is, and I can understand when people, what's a walk going to do? I get it, but until you actually
do it,
give it a go, you'll see. Because I feel one thing during the sabbatical that I've started to realize is we're a lot more similar to animals than we think, and we need to be closer to nature, and sort of explore and be in that presence of that kind of environment. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. I'm an advocate for it.
Yeah, so when you're doing your hikes in like Malvern Hills, and that's not only is it good that you're exercising, you're getting people out, but the environment you're bringing them around to is going to boost their mental as on top of everything else that you're doing.
Yeah.
But before I forget the question I wanted to ask, why do you think sisterhood and I want to say girl code is at the, like, why is that such a thing for you? And
why is it important almost?
Nah, not why is it important. I know why it's important, but how did that become so intertwined in your message? Yeah, how did that become so intertwined in your message?
I feel like a lot of women that I know, and I think since I've been building the business from day one, so many women are wounded by other women. Like, so many women have wounds, whether it's mother wounds, whether it's sister wounds, whether, you know, they've been hurt by friends, whether they've had to grieve friendships, or, you know, losses in their life with women specifically. And I feel like there is a very big stigma around large groups of females being quite catty or bitchy, and I wanted to take that and flip it on its head, like, and also provide a nurturing space for women that you can come and you can feel safe here. Like, we don't do the whole bad vibe stuff. It's not like it's only
there's
good
no
vibes.
drama.
There's no drama. Leave it all at the door. It's good vibes only around here. And I feel like anyone that's around me and anyone that's around my friends and anyone that comes into the spaces that I've created will feel that instantly. Like, I don't condone any bad vibes, any bitchiness, cattiness. Like, I'm not that way inclined, so I don't want it anywhere near me. So I feel like for me,
and I can get that. Like I said from your messages, when you like happy Monday and stuff, I'm just feeling like, okay, I should have came with a bit more energy, because now I feel like now you make me feel negative when I'm just like, hey Misha, you're right. Do you get what I'm saying? Carry on, sorry.
Yeah, gotta add something to it. But yeah, I feel like it's important because I think life's hard enough. Life is hard enough, and you never underestimate the power of just being nice to people. And I feel like even if it's not,
100%.
even if it's not reciprocated, even if someone comes to you with such the like bad vibes and bad energy,
you will walk away from that.
You'll always be up, because you can leave the conversation, the space, or wherever you are, knowing it's actually not a me problem. People project. People love to project,
true. And that's another thing that I'm learning, that a lot of people have scars that causes them to act in certain ways to certain situations, and really and truly, we all just need to heal. If I'm being straight, we all need to do a lot of healing, and part of that healing journey consists of doing stuff like where you're just nice regardless of what you're getting back.
Yeah.
And I think after New Year's, I thought I was having a heart attack. I told my partner to call an ambulance because I generally thought I was having a heart attack, but it was a panic attack, it turns out. And that was a wake-up call for me. That was like a pivotal moment, and I sort of started subconsciously practicing mindfulness within that. And again, this is where this sort of thing came from, because it's like now when I'm speaking to people and I'm hearing their stories, I put myself in their shoes and truly understand their journey and try to imagine the sort of emotions and the weight that they carry on their shoulders. So I say that to say this, that being kind regardless is definitely one of the first key ingredients into having a peaceful mind towards peace, isn't it? Really and truly, 100%. But on the flip side of that, because we know that it's such as life, like it literally throws things at you. So everybody's got dark corners, and obviously as long as you're okay with it, I sort of want to explore that a little bit more and share each other's experiences. So one thing I heard you mention earlier was that you had an eating disorder at some point. Yeah. Are you in a place to talk about that firstly?
Yeah, definitely. So when I went to university, I was obviously living my best life. I was 18. I moved away from home. I could cook, but I was just lazy. My first year of uni, it just consisted of takeaways and alcohol. I was drinking 4 to 5 times a week, all gas, no breaks. And I gained, quite a lot of weight quite quickly. And I remember I've always been very athletic growing up. I've always done some kind of fitness sport, like netball, athletics, like you name it, I've done it. Like I've literally was always like that. But at uni, like obviously the lifestyle just got in the way. So I feel like. When I came home after my first year of uni and it was like summer, I just remember feeling really uncomfortable with how my weight sat on me. And a lot of my family used to comment on my weight. So I feel like that made me want to get into the gym more. But then I got to a point with it where I was using exercise as almost like a coping mechanism. I wasn't using it in a healthy way or as an outlet. I was almost using it to punish myself. So it became this thing where I'd overtrain and I'd undereat. But I didn't realise how bad it was at the time. Like I kept convincing myself. I remember running on a treadmill or being on the cross trainer for like an hour at a time, and I wouldn't get off the piece of equipment until I'd burnt a certain amount of calories.
Did you feel like you were sort of in a pocket of like punishing yourself within
almost it? Because at the time when I was doing it, it didn't feel like punishment. It's only on reflection when like I was literally punishing myself because of my own habits. I didn't know anything about balance. I wasn't educated enough around nutrition and exercise to be able to apply the principles properly. It was just one extreme or the other.
I get
so you. I didn't have any balance, and then I lost all of the weight, and then I remember seeing a picture of myself, and I was just like, I don't understand like how slim I look. And in my head, it always used to register that I was overweight and at my slimmest, I was like a UK size 6, which again that suits some people, and that's that looks fine on their body. But for me, someone that's always been more curvy, that was crazy. And then I went to America. I did Camp America after uni.
I swear.
And then
that sounds familiar.
So
did you put that out there for people to know, or did you just?
I graduated, and then I spent my summer in Washington DC, so at a camp.
But I'm saying, did you post it on socials whilst
It was
you
probably on Facebook, you know, at the time when Facebook was popping.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that sounds. It sounds familiar. But carry on. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
And then I went to America, and then I did the reverse. It was like, again, I couldn't find this balance, and I used to eat for the sake of eating. Like, I wasn't even hungry. It was just curious.
Comfort
it was
eating in a way
almost
as well.
curiosity. Like, there was that much food in excess in America. It's like, what does that food taste like?
Yeah,
I'm not even hungry at this point. Like, I'm just eating for the sake of eating. So again, I was in the same cycle. So all the weight that I lost, I gained it all.
Gained it back.
Then I came back, and then again, I did the same thing. I just restricted myself, overtrained, was undereating. And then I think some of the relationships that I had at the time, friendships and romantic relationships, just weren't helping. I'd yo-yo just constantly. And then it got to a point where I did start to kind of educate myself more. I had people around me that were personal trainers. I had friends that were more into fitness, and I'd start training with them, and it kind of allowed me to find a bit of balance. A bit of guidance.
So it gave you that initial push that you needed to step in, to go towards, to go in the right direction, basically.
Definitely. And then from there, it's just been a case of constant trial and error. What works for me, what works for my body. And now I still have, you know, I posted not too long ago. I'm never going to sit here and say, like, I don't have my own, you know, sometimes things that crop up, or intrusive thoughts, or, you know, bad body image days. I will never sit here and say I don't have it, because I absolutely do. But it's definitely my mind. Like, I can control the thoughts now, and I know they're just intrusive thoughts, and they'll pass. So I'm in a healthier space with exercise and my diet now, nutrition. And I know when to rest. No, so it's been a journey. But
no, that's good to hear, because the power that intrusive thoughts have can get you in the maddest headlock at times. And I still find myself, I've never really spoken on this publicly, it's only if you know me, you know this, but I get mad intrusive thoughts on a daily basis, to the point where I live with daily anxiety of the fear of losing my mum. And I saw this thing the other day that was like, intrusive thoughts, the best way to sort of handle them is, it's like a crowd of people chanting negative stuff. Are you going to stop and listen to what they're saying, or
keep it moving?
Are you going to keep it moving and carry on and get further and further and further away from them? And eventually, they'll still crop up here and there, but mastering walking away from it, that's the key thing that you need to sort of learn within it. And it's easier said than done by far. But you're going back to the journey that you've said, again, I'm assuming you've done Camp America by yourself. Moved to a whole different country by yourself.
I was there for 3 months. I just went after uni.
3 months straight, you didn't come back to visit within the 3 months?
Literally just packed my suitcase for 3 months. I flew from London. My parents saw me off, flew from London to Washington DC. That was it.
How did they feel about it? Were they, I'm assuming
they knew from the jump. I think when I always said that I'd travel, I wasn't playing when I said like I'm an adventurer. From that initial point, even me going to uni, like moving away from home, like moving to Nottingham, they knew that I wasn't playing when I said like I will go anywhere on my own. Like, I will go. So they know to expect that from you. Yeah, they know to expect it. I think it's still, my mum now still, you know, when I say I'm going on a solo trip, my mum absolutely is like, her anxiety is through the roof. So,
serious?
And then, she would just be like, please, like, why are you always trying to, like, rock the boat? I'm just like, Mum, like, this is me, like, you know, this is me. But, I just, if I have my mindset on something, I'll do it.
Do you think during that period of, I'm assuming when you had, okay, so firstly, how much did you weigh? What was your biggest weight during that sort of period? And then what was your smallest?
If we go in kg, I think my biggest weight would have been around near 80 kg.
Okay.
My lowest weight would have been 60 kg.
Yeah. And then, but when you look back at that now, do you still see it as what you thought it was at the time, or
when I look back to when I was like at the slimmer point, I just think I can see that like
how skinny you were at
yeah,
the time.
and I also like I look on reflection like all the things that were going on in my life at the time, the people that I was around, the habits that I had, like the lack of self-love that I had for myself. And also similarly when I was bigger, the same principles, but also again like lack of self-love, using food as a coping mechanism, not necessarily having healthy outlets. And when you can't control the things that are going in your life, if it's chaotic, what one thing can you control? Food.
No, it's true. So
on both ends of the spectrum, you either, you know, you can comfort eat and you can also not eat, or undereat.
I know that you said that you had comments being made from like family and stuff. I wanted to dive into that a little bit because I think it's definitely a
cultural.
I
knew he was gonna say that. I knew it.
Because the reason why I say that is because I remember when courtesy of you, when I was bulking, and those meal preps really helped. That was my first time bulking, and I got to a certain size and weight. I remember my auntie making a comment about, "Oh, you look so much healthier now. Before you looked really bad," and I'm thinking, you know, just because I look like this now, it doesn't mean I'm not going to feel a way about you saying that. Did you have a lot of comments when you felt like you've changed that sort of validated your insecurities in a way?
I would say I've had it on both ends of the spectrum.
Both ends.
I had family and friends commenting when I was at the higher end of the scale. And then I also had family and friends commenting when I was at the lower end of the scale. And I feel like every time, because I was at both, I've been at both extremities, it was never helpful or constructive.
Of course.
Because, and I say this still now, like, it is nobody's business what people wear. Because people don't know people's stories. People have severe like health issues. People have underactive, overactive thyroid. You just don't know people's story. So, you know, even down to this morning, I had someone, you know, say to me, "Oh, Mish, you've lost loads of weight." And it's even still, it's not coming from any place of malice. But I think people need to just be more mindful when they are, especially commenting on weight. You just don't know what people have battled with or are battling with.
No, it's true. No, it's very true.
So I think we definitely need to be more mindful of using weight as an indicator on someone's fitness journey. Because I just think it's said so freely and almost blasé.
No, it's very normalised.
But it can be very triggering.
It is very normalised for people to just forwardly put out their observation, I suppose, of
and their opinion.
Without realising that actually that's not what that person wants to hear necessarily. But on the flip side, it can be what someone wants to hear, but is it worth taking the risk of gambling? It's
you're always going to upset somebody, I think, when it comes to weight, because you just don't know how it's going to be received by the person.
But I find it weird that the general consensus is that I feel like with women, you know, it tends to be more offensive to say that they've put on. But with men, that flatters us. We want to hear that. Do you get what I mean? It's a bit of a weird dynamic. Do you think that, so in your experience, have you ever, that allows me to segue into something actually, in your experience, have you ever had a client that's, how do I word it, in the simplest form, like insecurity levels sky high? And how have you, and how did you approach that to try, like, it may not have necessarily worked in the way that you wanted it to, but what did you think was the appropriate way to approach that and why?
So with a lot of women that I work with, the biggest battle is
social media.
I think it plays into it and it feeds the narrative, definitely. But the biggest one is lack of self-love. And also accepting yourself where you're at and not comparing your journey, your day one to someone's day 100. And I always say to people when they say to me, you know, when they inquire, "Oh, I want a body like yours," don't wish for what I have, because you don't know what it took
to get here.
For me to get here.
No, it's true.
And I say it to everybody, like, just stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest kind of ways that I've helped women, you know, go on that journey is stop focusing on aesthetic goals. Stop going to the gym because you want a certain aesthetic.
Yeah.
Focus on the gym for health goals. The aesthetic is the bonus. And I think because I don't ask my clients to weigh themselves, I don't give them like meal plans that are boring or unrealistic or not tailored to their lifestyle. I don't tell clients to kill themselves in the gym. Like, I make it fit around their lifestyle, and it should be easy. It shouldn't feel like a task or a chore.
100%. Because that's how you end up falling off the wagon.
Yeah, that is when it's too restrictive or it's just not realistic. So I feel like all of them elements have allowed me to really tap in a lot more to my clients. And help them overcome their insecurities, build their confidence, you know, minimise that gym anxiety that they might be feeling. Help them reframe their thinking around food and not seeing it as the enemy. I'm absolutely over hearing people tell me they're going to cut carbs out. There's carbs in fruit. Like, you can't cut out carbs, and carbs are fuel. So rather than seeing food as the enemy, like, starting to teach them, see food, you need fuel. Your body, you know, is like a well-oiled machine. It needs fuel.
I think that comes from, I think the carb thing definitely comes from people seeing people's results from things such as like keto diets
or
and
diet culture in general.
It's
so
and
toxic.
It is, but I think that's where it's a shame that hopefully you will be able to get there one day, but I think there needs to be more personal trainers that sort of think with the same mindset that you have, because there's going to be a lot of people that do it just for the sake of flipping money or whatever else.
Absolutely.
But that when you have someone that, okay, so this is a real life analogy. So it's like where you fit into this is, I had a photographer who came to photograph my food business the first time. Just came, he's on his phone. I had an idea for a setup. He's like, no, I'll just do this. I complained. I'm a Karen. I complained.
Not a Karen.
Yeah, I'm a Karen. So I complained, and a second guy came out yesterday. He's wiping the table, getting rid of smudges. He's positioning it. It's like, because you care. Like, there's that difference is clear as day. Like, and I feel like that's how you are as a personal trainer. That somebody will be able to differentiate between how you do it for the passion and someone doing it for money.
Yeah.
Simply put, one part of your life I wanted to dive into is, how do you feel like you've managed grief, and how have you managed to bounce back from grief how have you managed to bounce back into the gym with grief? If that's something you're okay to talk about. Yeah,
I think with me, grief is something that I do touch on sometimes on my story, but I don't really dig into it too much.
Only go as far as you're healed, I suppose.
So with grief, I feel like I've experienced it a lot in my life, but definitely more recently in the past 12 months, I lost my dad a few years ago, who I was estranged from. So our relationship, he wasn't in my life for 10 years. But again, I do believe in divine timing and things like that. I remember one year just being really sad on Father's Day. And I'd not probably seen him in 10 years. And I just was like, I need to go and visit him, just randomly. At this point, my dad had already had multiple strokes, so he was in a care home and he was bedbound. And his speech was like, basically, he was non-verbal, so he couldn't converse with me. He couldn't articulate anything. But when I went into his room at the care home, you know, he had like all his my baby pictures around his room, and he was making like some noise to communicate with me. And in that kind of process, it just kind of taught me a lot about compassion and forgiveness, and not holding like grudges with people, because I just felt like at the end of the day, irrespective of what's gone on, life's too short.
100%.
You can't go around in your life being so angry.
Yeah.
And I think, especially as an adult, it's taught me compassion for other humans. It's taught me, like, don't always hold so much hate in your heart towards people. Like, there's certain things that you have to let go.
Yeah. For your own benefit.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, when you're holding hate, you're the only one that's ending up getting
burned. You feel it, man. It makes everyday living hell. Yeah, it makes everyday living hell. No matter how much you suppress it, it will find itself at the forefront at some point. So if you don't let that go, it is it's difficult. I can relate. Sorry, carry on.
No, it's okay. So yeah, like a couple of months went by, and he started to deteriorate.
Yeah.
And then he passed away. So after that, I kind of, even when I had the news, like, wasn't really processing it.
Yeah.
I was still
Did you feel like he was in shock? Or?
I was still in my corporate job.
Yeah.
My cousin rang me saying that he basically went into a coma, and then they made the decision to turn off the machines. And I was in work, and even when, like, when I relived the phone call, it just wasn't processing. Like, I stayed at work, I didn't leave.
Yeah. That's shock.
I was just still carrying on my job as normal.
Yeah, that's shock.
And then it was like, it got towards the end of the day, and I was like, I should probably go now. I just wasn't processing it, and I feel like that has been my life ever since. I don't feel like I've gone to therapy, and I've spent the past 4 years in and out of therapy. But it's not until probably, like, last year I lost one of my friends very suddenly in December, and then also
was that Marnie?
Yeah. And then I lost my great granddad shortly after. So the day when we did Marnie's memorial run, I found out that's when my granddad had passed away.
Fuck off.
So yeah, it was December was
tough.
Ghetto, man. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, the past couple of months, have been rough. So I feel like for me, losing those two people suddenly also uprooted the grief from my dad. Whereas I felt like I'd kind of managed it to a degree up until that point, and I feel like I'm having to relive a lot of it all over again. So I feel like, grief isn't linear.
It's like it enhanced.
It looks very differently, and I always say, like, there's no proper way to grieve. It's just, some days you're fine, then you could be driving down the motorway and you feel like you can't breathe.
Nice.
It might be like a certain song or something someone says that reminds you of somebody. Like, it's just very
random.
Yeah, very random. But
very random.
I do have a lot of comfort in the fact, like, when, you know, I'm very big on signs. So, like, with the sunsets, the sunrises, ever since Marnie died, the colours in the sky are always her colours.
I swear. Like the purple and the
red. Like the purple and the blue. So anytime I always like put purple and blue, like, it's always for Marnie.
Would you say you're a bit spiritual then?
Yeah, definitely. Nice. And then, like, with my dad, I always see feathers or butterflies. So I do believe, like, it brings me comfort to know that I have those signs and I receive them quite often. But for me, even when I was going through the thick of my grief, gym wasn't helping me anymore. There's a lot of practices that kept me afloat up until losing people in my life, like mindfulness, journaling, meditation, going for walks. None of it was working anymore. And I feel like
powerless in it.
It just didn't feel the same. Like, I couldn't get into a meditation because my mind was so scatty. I couldn't journal because I felt like every time I went to put the pen to the paper, my mind was going blank. When I was on my walks, I wasn't present. I was just vacant.
That's like, the best way to put it. You're just not there anymore. You're in your head. You're in your head.
But I didn't stop doing those practices because I knew, even if they weren't working at a conscious level, I knew subconsciously when I did go to sit down and journal, I was writing pages. There might be one day out of, you know, a 7-day week where I am present on that walk and I'm reflecting. Or when I'm listening to certain songs when I'm driving down the motorway, like, I am almost meditating and I'm being mindful and pausing and taking time for myself.
Yeah,
So I can't even say that during my grief journey, and I'm definitely still going on it, gym hasn't always been, or the mindfulness kind of tools that I have, they've not always been able to bring me.
Yeah, like when you say,
but they haven't always been my saving grace.
Yeah.
I've continued to do those habits because
good.
I know regardless, something's gonna give. I am gonna reap the rewards of them, even if it's not at a conscious level.
No, I'll jump in and say that takes a certain level of discipline, and you should really be proud of yourself for still continuing to do so, even though you're not entirely present.
Yeah.
Because I know that when I lost my friend of recent, Hams, I was on a journey with Jim, and then when that happened, I couldn't focus.
Yeah.
And for me, it hit me straight away, and it was a bit difficult to sort of process because of how pure he was and how random it was. There's so many different factors that played a part into, and I'm sure you can relate with Marnie as well.
Yeah.
No one ever prepares for these things.
Yeah.
And it's weird because going back a little bit, I lost a friend, Kyle, when I was 16.
Yeah.
And the way that impacted me, this is adding to what you said, grief looks different. It does. And off the back of that, after I'd lost Kyle, my granddad had came over from, they brought him over from Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And alongside my grandma. And the idea, something, I don't know what it was, but all I remember is knowing that his health isn't well.
Yeah.
And, go on.
Start that again about Kyle.
Okay.
It goes off every 45 minutes.
Okay.
So just, because that's an important part.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, when I lost Kyle, that impacted me massively. So much so, what?
Tell the story. Start from the start.
I weren't, this isn't thought, it's just, I'm just spilling.
The bit where
just context, because it's important.
Okay.
Say a couple months ago.
Yeah, so, okay, cool. Yeah, to add to the point of you saying grief comes in different ways, I can 100% agree. Like when I lost my friend Kyle when I was 16, it impacted my life in several different ways, more so to the point where when my grandparents came over, I remember that my granddad wasn't well, and this is something that I live with regretfully, but I know that my granddad wasn't well, and the point of him coming over here was to get him that better healthcare.
Yeah.
But because I knew that he wasn't well and that he could potentially die, I kept myself away from him.
Yeah.
I didn't...
Coping mechanism?
Yeah. I didn't build a bond with him. I didn't get to know him. I just thought, no, I'm not... what just happened, I'm still feeling now. That hurt too much.
Yeah.
I'm not going through that again.
Yeah.
So I kept myself away from him. And obviously, as time went on, regrettably, he passed. And... I hate to say it, did what I do work? Yes, but I'm not thankful for it. I wish I just gave him my love and showed him my love and got to know him and dealt and just lived with the pain. Just felt what I needed to feel.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that I've learned alongside that as well with grief, more importantly, is, and I think a lot of people avoid it, but crying is one of our biggest coping mechanisms. Generally, sometimes I think, it doesn't matter what gender you are, I think we are built to cry for a reason.
Yeah, it's a healthy release.
It's such a healthy release. Like sometimes, and I was saying it to my partner the other day, that without saying too much, she sort of broke down. And I could hear in her cry, what kind of cry, what the hell was that? I could hear in her cry what kind of cry it was. And I said to her, look, you're going to feel better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of cry that you've needed. Like it builds up, man.
Yeah.
It builds up, and
it's
I think
like an inner child cry.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like your inner child is bawling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like an inner child cry, isn't it? Yeah.
Bang
I
on.
know the one.
Bang on.
I know it too well.
Bang on. Yeah. Yeah. And that, it's such a dark corner, man. And it, as much as in that moment you'll feel like, and you'll realize how cruel life is. It's what we need to do to keep the show going.
Yeah.
As hard as it is, it's and again, I'm sorry to hear that, generally, that you went through that, because it's never easy. You can never, no matter how many times you go through, no matter how many times you experience it, it's never easy, because each person plays a different part in your life.
Yeah, there's different significance for different people in your life.
Exactly.
And I don't think, no matter how many times you go through grief or losing somebody, nothing will ever equip you to lose people that are close to you.
Yeah, nah.
I think, again, everyone's grief journey is very different. But I think, you're just never equipped to deal with those emotions that come with grief.
Yeah. I think I found myself sometimes in a space within that where I sort of look at the world and think, how the flip does everyone live day by day with this fear at the back of our heads? Like,
the inevitable.
Yeah, the inevitable.
I actually will tell you something interesting about me. It's going to sound crazy when I say it, but when
You're going to say you've got an anxiety of death. Trust me, it's not crazy. Carry on.
When I was a kid, I developed insomnia because I was fixated on people around me dying.
Yeah.
So I didn't used to sleep because I used to stand at the bottom of my parents' bed watching them sleep, because I used to be scared that they were going to die or something would happen to them.
Yeah.
So I didn't used to sleep as a kid, probably from the ages of like, I'm going to say 6 till 10.
Yeah.
And I would, every night I'd wake up, I'd literally wake up the same time. The landing light would be on because I used to be scared of the dark. I'd go into my mum's room. I'd literally stand and watch her sleep.
Do you think that's almost like sort of like a form of OCD in a way?
Yeah.
To give yourself certainty, because similar to that, that's mad. Similar to that, I didn't have quite that. It was a thing of, if I didn't touch this radiator, tap it twice, something bad was gonna happen to my mum. So I could tap that radiator. So I could leave my house and go to the bus stop.
You need to go back.
I need to go back.
Yeah.
And I will go back.
Yeah.
I promise you. That bus is coming.
Yeah.
And in a bit.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna be late. I need to. I'm not telling them why, because it sounds when you're like.
Tap the radiator.
Yeah. When
Whereas
you're like
me,
12,
like,
13, it sounds silly.
I need to stand at the bottom of my mum's bed.
Yeah.
Or if I'm not standing at the bottom of her bed, like I'm getting into the bed because I need to check that she's still breathing.
Yeah. So would you say that back in that time, did you have an anxiety, a heightened anxiety about it? Do you remember feeling anxious about it?
Yeah, it was a combination of, like, I used to be scared of the dark, and like I genuinely had an ingrained fear that my mum's gonna die. Yeah. Because when even my parents are quite young, so I just genuinely had this. It was, and I couldn't tell you where it developed
where it came from.
Where it came from or how it came about.
Yeah.
I just know for a very long time, like, it literally consumed me.
Yeah. And I think I have a lot of empathy for that because mine never started that young. And do you feel like it, what's the word I'm looking for? Do you feel like it hindered your child or took anything away from your childhood, having that constant fear in any shape or form?
I just think more so it kind of, at that age, it gave me hyper awareness that, and I just feel like a child shouldn't be that hyper aware of death. Like, I don't think anybody else had it as you. Not that I know in like my that I'm around. I'm not saying
no, it's
no
my
one
first
else.
time. It's my first time hearing that.
No
as
one
well.
else has experienced it, but I just feel like that the hypersensitivity and the hyper awareness of death should never have been a thing.
Is it? I feel like it's correct to say the word hyperfixation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was literally fixated on it.
Yeah. It's bad, man. And would you say that you'd have, and to make it even worse, back then you wouldn't even be able to explain it or control your intrusive thoughts within it, And I bet you didn't even speak. Did you ever speak to anyone about it at the time, or
My
was it
mum
just?
used to. I never ever said to my mum, "I'm scared that you're gonna die." Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never ever voiced that to her.
Yeah.
She just thought I just had sleep problems.
Okay. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
sleep apnea or insomnia or
Yeah,
whatever you want to
yeah.
call it. And I was scared of the dark. She
Yeah,
knew
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So the landing light always used to be left on. But
Yeah.
I used to have real bad nightmares as well as a kid.
In relation to that, or just
Everything.
everything? Yeah.
Everything. So that also used to force me not to sleep.
Did you, in terms of, have you done any sort of bereavement counselling?
I haven't, but interestingly enough, so my type of counselling was a lot of inner child work, a lot of kind of looking at the relationship that I had with my dad who passed away. But I've never had bereavement counselling. But when I finished my therapy, my therapist did say to me that she feels that I would benefit from bereavement counselling.
Yeah.
Just because of the deaths that I've experienced in my life and the circumstances around them.
Yeah.
And it is something that I'm considering. It's just a case of when I feel ready to go back into it again.
I think we need to prioritise it, because there will be certain ways that we don't realise this trauma's affected us.
Yeah.
In very small pockets of our lives.
Yeah, 100%.
And I hate living and I'll be very real, because the whole point of this podcast is no inhibitions, and I can speak on it now because I'm a bit far away from it. But the reason why I proper agreed with you when you said that inner child cry is because during the back end of, so you see how you said you feel like that death enhanced everything else.
Yeah.
It might not have just been other grievances. It could be just everything else that you suppress as well that sort of comes to the forefront, because I feel like that's what happened to me back in September. And I'd find myself in my car bawling my eyes out at the memory of how pure life used to be as a kid.
Yeah.
That hurt and sorrow, that life isn't that anymore, and this is the situation I'm in, and this is what burdens me on a daily basis in comparison to what it used to be. It's like that alone, every single second of my childhood, not every single second, you know what I mean, but those flashbacks. Yeah, exactly that. The idea that even down to the love I received from my parents. Obviously, as you get older, it's not as.
Cool.
Do you get what I'm saying? But
everything seems very pure, though.
Pure, sheltered, protected.
Innocent.
Yeah. It's not really such a. I suppose you could say that it's not really a standalone thing at that age, isn't it? So, yeah, just reflecting back on how messed up things have got in comparison to what it used to be was proper heartbreaking, man. And I had to have a couple of them cries to get to where I am today now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I wholeheartedly agree with you. But I do think, I say all that to say this, I do think that we need to attack it whilst we're as strong as we are at the moment.
Yeah.
Because you never realise how long you've been holding stuff for, how long you've been suppressing for, until that day comes where it just comes down on you like a ton of bricks. And
it licks you. And there's nothing that can prepare you for it either.
Nothing at all. Not like, yeah, it's the biggest spiral ever. I'm still not back at work now, just because what's been helping me is having this balance of life where I get up in the morning and I go gym. No, drop the kids, drop her to work, go gym, do my thing, work on the business. And do you know what I mean? I'm actually living like a human being should be living. And this is why I feel, do you feel like you're going to live in the UK for, same. I don't think I can do it.
No.
I don't think I can do it.
I feel like I'm a traveller, I'm an adventurer.
Yeah.
I just haven't found my place yet.
Yeah.
I haven't found where I'm ready to settle. But, the UK has opened up so many doors and opportunities for me. I'm forever grateful.
Yeah.
But, life's too short.
It is,
to
man.
just
It is.
Stay,
It is.
stay in the same place.
It is.
So who knows where I end up.
Do you feel like you'd move somewhere else and then bring Move with Misha there with you as well?
The idea is that I'll be able to work from anywhere in the world.
In the world, yeah. Remote, yeah.
I don't always want to be the physical product.
Hands on,
of the
yeah.
brand. So,
I get you.
You know, I'm slowly taking those steps to pull away.
I do wish you the best of luck with that, 100%. Because I feel like I feel like take it or leave it. Like I know how you are with advice from what you said anyway, but I feel like people buy into Move with Misha because of you. Yeah. So the only way for that potentially to work for you would be to find likewise people that have the same morals and values as you, and the same work ethic and the same drive. Not the same upbringing, but do you get what I'm saying? Like a similar story, because otherwise you won't be able to trust them. Yeah. And they won't be able to represent your brand.
There's no relatability. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
100%. I feel like, and I think that's probably another reason why I have been riding solo with the business for the past 4 years. Yeah. I'm yet to meet somebody that I feel like I can bring into my team. Yeah. Or build a team.
So you do all of this completely by yourself? No.
Nothing. No handouts. Nothing.
Jesus.
I've had people. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've had people. You know, I've got a village around me. Yeah. I've had people. For example, Monday just gone. I was in London. I had to go. I got invited down there for a campaign. A big fitness brand. I do not believe in letting people down or cancelling. So I run a boxing class every Monday evening. Yeah. That boxing class had to go ahead. I wasn't cancelling that. So I asked my friend
to take over.
To run the class for me.
I saw.
And even that was a big thing for me. I don't trust people very easily. I don't trust, not with the brand, not with the business anyway. Yeah. So
because that's your vision, that's your baby, isn't it? Yeah, that is your baby. Yeah. At the end of the day.
But everything is me. Yeah. Everything self-funded. Like I haven't, you know, there's no mommy and daddy money. Everything has been me. I've worked 3 jobs for the past however many years to build it up to the point where it's at.
And how long would you say your consistent journey has been? Because another thing I've learned is that people always say consistency is key. That doesn't necessarily mean to be consistent with doing one thing. It just means consistently getting up every day and trying to make shit happen. Yeah. And you will eventually get there. Yeah. It doesn't matter, because it's like for you, your journey, how I've seen it is you started off doing this, then you done the meal prep thing, then you had your class where it was 20, and then now, because of that consistency, it's finally paying off and you're enjoying the fruits of your labour. Yeah. More or less. So I've actually lost my point. What did I say before? How did I get there?
It's like consistency.
Consistency is key. Oh yeah. How long would you say your consistency journey has been going for?
Consistency journey.
Yeah. Like how long would you say yourself you feel like you've been consistent for?
Since.
Or what age? Since college?
I can honestly probably say since I had my first job at 15.
Yeah.
Consistency.
You just kept it going.
I've never not worked. That's all. Like
that's all you know. Yeah, no, same. Yeah, no, same.
Again, and it back to that independent thing with the homework.
Yeah.
I've never really relied on anybody because I haven't been.
That's not really in your nature in a way.
I haven't been in a space growing up where I can rely on people.
Yeah.
So I have to make it happen.
Yeah.
It's on me, to get me where I need to be.
Yeah. I feel like the word I want to say is that's impressive. Yeah. And your story is something worth telling and constantly telling, because I feel like keep telling random people random facts. Yeah. That you've experienced, because I feel like one thing you might not notice is, I hate using the word fans, but you've got fans. Yeah. And they'll look at you and think, naturally as human beings, they'll look at you and think, she's perfect. she's here, like you said, they'll look at you and see your, like, the figure that you've had, the body that you've got, but you've worked on that for so many years that they never saw those years. They've just saw the end product.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for you to sort of keep telling people random facts about your life, and just keep doing what you're doing. I think I want to close off with saying, how do you think 12 to 14-year-old Mica what do you think she'd say to you?
12 to 14 years old.
Yeah.
Let me say, it would have been like...
Is that what? Yes. Year 7, year 8? Yeah.
Year 8 to 9.
Yeah. And that could be down to, not believing that.
I think, like, for me, it's like, what would my 12-year-old self say to me right now, or what would I say to my 12-year-old self?
I'm not asking the latter because it's a cliche.
Okay.
So what I'm asking is, if you could put yourself into that 12, 14-year-old Mica and she was to see who you are now, and someone asked her, what do you think of this woman?
Yeah.
What do you think she would say?
What do I think she would say?
Yeah. Like, do you think she'd be... Obviously, knowing it's you in the future, would she be happy with where she's got to? Is she proud of, like, those kind of things?
I think she would say, like, wow, like, you did all the things that you said that you was going to do.
Yeah.
And more.
Yeah.
Almost like, look what we've built.
What we've accomplished.
Look at the life we built for ourselves. And I think I say that I'm turning 30 at the end of this year. And somebody asked me, even down to the other day, are you excited to turn 30? And I was like, yeah, because I can look at my life.
Yeah. I
can look at the past 29 years of my life and say, I've done everything that I could possibly do and more.
Yeah.
There's not one thing that I can say, not one opportunity that I've let pass, or there's not 1 ounce of me that looks back and like, I could have done that more.
Yeah.
I have regrets, don't get me wrong.
Of course, it's impossible
and
to
in
avoid
hindsight,
that.
do I wish I behaved or acted differently in certain scenarios? Absolutely.
But
when it comes to pretty much, building everything, I can genuinely say, like, I've done a lot.
You've done bits.
I've done a lot I've done a lot for
You
where
have.
I'm at in my life.
No, you have.
And I can say that with my chest, that like I'm very proud of myself, and I'm proud of the resilience and the mindset that I have, and what I've built, the community that I have.
Yeah.
And what I've built.
No, definitely. To close it off, I know I've said this to you on messages loads of times, but generally, Mica, I'm proud of the journey that you've had so far, and where you've took that, and where you've ended up. I can only see you elevating more and more at this point. And I think for you, I feel like, from my perspective, I feel like your journey is a journey where you're gonna come across things that you didn't plan to do, but you're just gonna end up there.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Like, for instance, you didn't picture yourself being in the middle of the boring doing a workout class.
Yeah.
That wasn't a goal. That's not what you worked towards. That's not.
You just
you just did it.
Sorry to put you, but this is going to run out of memory.
It's full. Okay, cool.
1 minute.
1 minute. Okay, we'll wrap it up. So yeah, very proud of you, Mica, and keep going. And thank you for coming and taking the time to speak on my podcast as well.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Yeah, we are done.
And that's a wrap.
It's a wrap.